everybody. Welcome. I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records. Today on Dat Fury Radio, it's my pleasure to welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Stik Figa. What's going on, Stik?
It's Stik Figa, man. How's it going, y'all?
Stik Figa, man.
I'm doing all right.
It's good to hear. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
I would have to look up the last time you were on the long play listening party, but it's been
a few
over a year.
Yeah, maybe a
couple years. Yeah, it could be
a year and a half, something like that.
I remember last time you were on the long play, you said you were going to have a quiet, I think you said you were going to have a quiet 2024, and then you put out like 3 things right at the start of the year.
Did I? No, I'm kidding. I definitely put out an EP at the top of the year. That was quiet for me, though. Like, it was kind of quiet. It was like, I put out like a couple of songs here and there, and, you know, because I'm used to putting out like a whole project or maybe more than one project through the course of a year. So I took it pretty easy for 24 in my mind for what I do. But yeah, 25, I have a few things in mind. Some solidified that I can talk about, and some that are kind of just on the pot, you could say.
Well, that's great news. I'm not going to press you to break any news here, but at the end, I do want to make sure we tell people where they can subscribe or connect with you or whatever, so that they'll automatically get notified when
for sure,
when that stuff starts to drop.
For sure.
But I've got you here today. I've got a question/topic that's been rolling around in my mind.
Okay.
Since I made my year-end list for 2024.
Okay.
And I need to do some setup. I'll explain it all. And then you can tell me your thoughts. We can go back and forth. And actually, I'm glad we're doing this on the day, and it's been a while since I made my list, because yesterday I thought up maybe an answer to my own question, but I'm going to save my answer to the end.
Okay.
So
I'll live with that.
Yeah, so here's a setup. I want to talk about sort of bigger budget mainstream rap in 2024. And specifically Kendrick's GNX, Tyler's Chromacopia, and Schoolboy Q's Blue Lips. Those are my examples. It's not limited to that, but those are like my examples. Yeah. In all those cases, I liked those records. I liked the beats. I liked the bars. I liked the concepts. And yet, I don't know if I'm going to play any of them again. In contrast, a friend introduced me to an album by a group called Camp Lo. The album's called Uptown Saturday Night, which I'm sure you know.
Classic. Incredible album.
So, incredible album. I discovered that in 2024, and I'm going to be playing that for the rest of my life.
That is a fact. That's a fact.
So the question is, what am I missing about what's going on right now? Am I just old? Or is head nodding just over? Or what am I missing? Because my goal is to be able to enjoy the newer stuff as much as the older stuff.
Yeah. I think, and with the examples you gave, albeit I'm a Kendrick Lamar super fan, so I'm probably like the wrong person to ask about that. But I can speak to the other. Well, I can still speak to it though, because I think that what's happening is in this new era of like constantly people being chronically online, the requirement to have this very extravagant rollout that continues to feed the attention of the fan bases. I think we kind of miss out on that feeling of just like listening to a record without being told what the record is immediately, like up front.
Right.
And I think it kind of like dulls our senses to just hearing it. Like Marty from Ebony Tusk gave me this saying some time ago. He was like, "It's like we're listening with our eyes now." And I think about that a lot because I think that's a lot of what's happening. Like, it's particularly with Schoolboy Q's rollout. No, Schoolboy Q and both him and Tyler's rollouts were like very meticulous. Like, Schoolboy Q had all these vignettes, all these different videos, like kind of just all these explanations that were like a minute long. And then by the time you get to the record, you already heard everything you like from it. And there's not really like that first time listening experience that you're used to getting, like when we were in the 90s. And it was like, you might have saw a commercial, you might have saw an ad, but you just knew it was coming out and you wanted to hear it, and that was the end of it. And whether it was good or bad, that's kind of where you landed. At least that's what it is for me. Like, I liked the Schoolboy Q record a lot, actually. But I had another buddy of mine who was just like, yo, this has got to be his worst record, like, or at least his least interesting record, or, you know, something like those sort of sentiments about Q as somebody who loves what Schoolboy Q does and what he brings to the table. Tyler,
and go ahead, yeah, keep going.
I was just gonna say with Tyler, I think he's more of the other stuff than he is a rapper. Like, he is more of a conceptual art design, layout, rollout, like, person. Like, he creates this visual for you that is just so grand, and he creates these identities for the record, but it's like, when you get to the record, it's like, that was nice.
Yeah.
You know? But with Kendrick, on the other hand, he dropped a surprise release. We didn't know it was coming. We just knew everything leading up to the rap beef was like his rollout, or at least what brought attention to the project that he was working on. Like, I'm not even sure that that's like it almost feels like that record was made within 6 months. As much as I like it, like, I'm a fan of that sound. My son hates it. I was just talking to my son about this because he's like a MF Doom, like, real hip hop loyalist person. Whereas, like, I'm listening to this Kendrick and I'm just like surprised by it because I was a West Coast, like, just knee deep into that sound for, like, E40 was like one of my first favorite rappers. Like, E40 and Ice Cube are like my first favorite rappers. So when I heard that Kendrick, I was like, oh, he's doing this. He's gonna go super West Coast. Like, okay, I'm here for it, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
But I can see too people who just are not interested in that sound at all being like, what is this? What did you give me? Like, I don't want to hear this, you know. With few exceptions to certain songs that are like very Kendrick centric songs, you know. So I just think that, and I say that to say, Kendrick's project, when I looked at the producer notes, I was surprised to see like Jack Antonoff and like Kasami Washington, like these really big names. So he like did this thing where he made like this mixtape sounding album, but it still had this like grandness to it at the same time. So I could get what you're saying. It's like there's definitely like some of it sounds a little overproduced.
Maybe.
You know, where it doesn't have like that natural feeling of a rap record that we're used to.
And again, I like these records. I like what's going on. I like the different ideas. And I'll go ahead, for my own self, I'll commit. I'm going to listen to each one of them again, for sure.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah, I was telling myself that too about Q's album specifically. I was like, I need to go back and listen to Q's album.
It's like...
because it's a weird one.
It's like hearing every type of hip-hop album at once, and the channel's changing every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's a really intense listen. It's a huge artistic accomplishment. I'm not taking anything away from the accomplishment of it.
It was ambitious. Yeah.
Very ambitious. And as a listening experience, it's like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to have that experience, or do I want to put on Tribe for the 100th time?
Do I want to go for what I know is gonna satisfy? And I mean, I suffer with that a lot too, man. Like, I was listening to like Blue, like on the other side of the issue, like Blue, one of my favorite rappers, put out, I don't know, like 11 records, like him and Boldy James and Rock Marciano and like that side of like underground rap. They put out so much music that it was like, I don't know where to start. Like, I don't know what's great or what's good or what's, because the stuff that got me into those guys isn't the stuff that they're making now, or it's like they've been at it for so long. Like some of those underground artists, like Boldy James, I'm pretty sure he put out like 14 records last year. I was like, I'm not gonna listen to all of that. It's impossible.
Right. It's
not gonna happen.
And how do you've got like a guided by voices problem at that point?
Yeah. It's like, I'll just wait till I see names that I trust, kind of thing. He's got another record. He's got another record coming out with Alchemist and Chuck Strangers on the beats, and I'm like, all right, like I'll check that one out. He did one with Conductor that was really good. Conductor Williams, him and Conductor Williams did a really good project. But it's like I'm saying, like there's just. But then he put out some stuff with a bunch of producers I never heard of, and it's like I'll get around to it. I guess it's on my phone. Like at some point, I pay for the subscription. Maybe I'll get around to like listen to one of the 25 albums he put out this year. So it's a similar problem on the other side of the deal. It's like they're just churning them out, and some of them sound identical to one another. And then you got like the high budget projects that they may sound different, but they don't have that feeling of like, this record is important. I should be dialing back in, you know?
And that's exactly, that's why I'm asking. I would like to get that feeling from something, hopefully, that comes out in 2025, or discover it in something from
the past.
2024. 2024 was not a great year for me personally for hip hop discovery. I'm not saying there's not great stuff out there. Obviously, I can't sample everything.
Yeah.
But I was missing finding new stuff to love.
Yeah.
In 2024.
No, there was a lot of that. I mean, I definitely was like, I've been in a mind of like, what's some old records that I just never gave a chance or just wasn't old enough to know about, and I want to go check it out now. Like I've been really in my 80s music bag because I was born in 82. And there's albums that there are rap albums specifically like that I just wasn't old enough to check out. And then when I was old enough, I was preoccupied with whatever I was into at the moment. So like I've been listening to like King T, like from Compton. He got an album called Act a Fool, really good, like old school West Coast rap album. Or albums I didn't give a fair shot from my favorites, like Nas's Nostradamus. Like at the time when Nostradamus came out, I thought it was the worst. I didn't even try. Some years removed, it's still not great. But there's some songs.
You find some gems.
You find gems on it. You know, it's like, oh, okay. He had some joints on here though. There were still a few joints on here that were great. But you know, timing is a lot of it, and what's happening in your circumference is a lot of it too. Just like what's happening.
Well, and the 80s are so interesting too because the form itself is evolving so quickly.
Yeah.
You know, stuff that's released a year or two apart can sound totally different.
Yeah. So many different ideas, so many different like experiments are happening while the thing is evolving. You know, before, and the 80s is really cool too because it's like that sweet spot before like everyone finds out about it.
Yeah. You
know, it's like it's really like a pure kind of like, yeah, nobody's listening, do what you want, see what happens. See what happens, you know, or at least that's what I imagine. And then when that 92, 93, 94, it's like everyone's watching. Now we're in competition. kind of energy, and then you're getting a lot of great records. Yeah.
Competition to take up space in the mainstream.
Yeah.
Where in the 80s, I think everyone was still speaking to a niche audience, even as it was growing.
Yeah. Even if, because it's like, there's some stuff I'm just not going to connect with all the way. Like, Curtis Blow. Like, I get the importance. I know it sold a lot of records and all of that, but it's just it's like reading an ancient language almost. Like, it's too in the early stages, but whereas I can listen to Rakim nonstop. I'll listen to all of it and rhyme it and follow along with those records with no problem and still be impressed by it lyrically and production wise. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's a real thing though. I think rap is just so big now that I don't know. Sometimes I worry that me and Johnny Quest were talking about this. It was like, man, maybe we're just at the part where it's just bad for a while. Like, it happens to all genres, hair metal happened.
Right.
And then regurgitated emo happened. Like, all the different versions of emo happened. And then Nickelback happened and Creed happened.
In some circles, Nickelback is still happening, unfortunately.
It's still happening to people. Nickelback. That's what I think about the Drake thing, honestly, is like, even though it's just one guy, it was like Drake is the most, I'm trying to think, like, I was gonna say he's like U2, but I don't know if that's fair to U2. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the ubiquity. Yeah.
The ubiquity of it. It's like there were like good U2 records, and then there's just U2 records. They just come out and they exist and they take up space and they sell, and no one really asks a lot of U2 at a certain point, or Metallica. Like, is it
that Metallica? I prefer that comp, actually.
Metallica? Okay.
I think that's the one.
Because it's like Metallica, then there's like, it's Metallica. What was the record called? Chinese?
Oh, that's Guns N' Roses. Chinese Democracy?
Chinese Democracy. That's Guns N' Roses. But it's like, okay, it's done everything it can do. It's as big as it can get. It has done everything that it can do. And it's kind of like that with Drake, where it's like, if rap was less self-conscious, if rap was more self-conscious about like just kind of whoring yourself, we'd be looking at Drake crazy like 10 years ago. Like year 5, we would have been like, what is this? What are we doing?
Yeah, he's not passing any authenticity tests.
None.
90s style.
And then the creativity tests those are all, them sliders are down. It's just like, we just feeding, just, because he just put out the new one. I listened to it because I wanted to be fair. Like, I have this thing about being fair, especially when I'm a fan. Like, when they were beefing, I was like, I already know I'm going to give this to Kendrick because I'm just I care too much about the ribbity rapping part. Like, I know he's going to win me over with that. So I'm like, I'm going to spend time with these Drake records and make sure I'm not being unfair,
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I don't feel the need to go to that place with Drake specifically.
Yeah.
I've never connected with any of Drake's music.
But I wonder how people do, but I'm also 40, so.
Yeah, I mean, we got to recognize at this point, our tastes and our criteria are just very different from a lot of people out there, and that's it's not a value judgment. It's just how it is. That's who we are as people. So I wanna, on the plus side a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
ribbity rapping Kendrick's doing the Super Bowl, right? And so that's something.
Loved it. I was that
I loved
guy.
it too, and I really loved. I'll link to it. Open Mike Eagle did a really great analysis, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'll link to that video. But you know, for someone that dedicated to the craft in an old school sense to be at the Super Bowl in 2025, that's not nothing.
That's my whole thing. He could have tripped and fell. In my in my mind, I was like, this man has no backing vocal. This is the rap nerd in me. I'm just like, no backing vocal, self-censoring, running the length of a football field, rapping like he's not rapping hickory dickory dock.
Mm-mm.
You get
Choreography.
me? There's choreographies, hitting all his marks. I was like, and he raps. He just rapped. He didn't do anything other than rap. At the Super Bowl. At the Super Bowl.
I haven't listened, but in Mike's video, he says that if you listen to the playback on headphones, the vocals are actually a lot more clear than if you were just on a TV.
Yeah.
And they might have remixed it some for the video post, but it highlights even more what you're saying about the athletic achievement of it, right?
100%. Like when he did, because I didn't see that coming. He does Euphoria. He does the diss record, and it's got the most like inflections and syllables, and I'm just like, get a guy, whatever. You know, have your opinions about. I mean, you know, some stuff is for taste. You know, some people don't like his voice. I've had all the Kendrick conversations as the number one Kendrick supporter over here. It is like, I don't like his voice. I don't like how weird some of his albums are. I don't like that there's not a lot of hits on them. I thought the last one was self-indulgent. I've had all of the conversations. So I get it. I get it. As a fan, I get it. But man, I got to give it to him because he raps. He raps. He coming from a real place rapping. And I look at it like Public Enemy doesn't get the opportunity to perform at the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Ice Cube doesn't get an opportunity to perform at the Super Bowl. You know, name Nas. You know, whoever you herald as like a rapper type, archetype. It's like has not done the Super Bowl. He did it by himself with like 2 R&B choruses. I think he let the girl he let SZA sing like 2 R&B choruses. Nah, man. And then a diss record, like a traditional, good old fashioned diss record in the like heritage of the thing. Like this is what we do. We make diss records.
And the whole stadium singing along.
I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to talk to. I'm just like, that was very hip hop of him. Like as I was telling my son that, I was just like, there was a time when hip hop was counterculture and everyone didn't like it. So the fact that he went out there and did the hip hop thing, he didn't have like a marching band, or he didn't bring like Mary J. Blige out, or, you know, whatever people were expecting that you do at a halftime. You know, he didn't come from the sky in a leotard and fly.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Maybe there's a next time. Maybe Drake does it next year.
Oh man. I don't want to think about that.
Maybe Drake does it next year. You know, everyone, Lil Wayne and Drake do it next year, and it makes everybody happy. Because I guess that was the big issue is since it was in New Orleans, they wanted it to be Wayne and Baby, and I was like, so maybe next year. I don't know, but I know this year he was up there rapping some very. I was like, wow. It's like Tech 9 or something. You know what I mean? Tech Nine will
Yeah.
never do the Super Bowl. You know? So yeah. Salute to Kendrick Lamar, man. Nothing
Absolutely.
but respect for what he did.
Absolutely.
I'm on that side of it.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you on that.
Yeah.
So I want to go. I promised you I'd answer my own question a little bit.
Okay.
And we've kind of circled around it, in fact. But I'm gonna do another short little preamble,
Okay.
which is that every type of music, every genre of music, has some like parts that it explores and plays with, and other parts that it takes for granted. All right. So like if you want the most intense exploration of Western style melody and harmony, you listen to Beethoven or whatever, and like Western classical music. So they're doing all this with melody and harmony. But, you know, there is orchestration. You've got your cellos and your trombones or whatever. But it's not like super intense about timbre. Every trombone player who's played a Beethoven symphony is trying to sound like every other good, you know, professional trombone player.
Right.
And you're not trying to make the trombone like stand out and be new and interesting. You know, synthesizer-based music is kind of like the opposite, right? You get way into the timbre and exactly how you sculpt the sound, and everybody's making their own unique settings on the synthesizer, but the melody and harmony is a lot more straightforward. Okay. And, you know, hip-hop music has explored a lot, especially about voice, but also with rhythm and sampling, the way it intersects with dancing and art. Not so much with harmony, right? There is some like really interesting accidental harmony when you mash samples up.
Yeah.
But so what I'm coming around to say is my hypothesis that occurred to me, and this is the first thing you said when you started your answer like 20 minutes ago. What if what I've been missing is that what mainstream hip hop is exploring now is interaction with the social media space and social media discourse?
Yeah.
Because I am missing from that. I'm off social media. I'm not interested in it. And if that is like a really key part of what's being explored, that would kind of explain why I'm missing the connection.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of it is for me too, is kind of you used a good word earlier, blockbuster. And me and my buddy Anwar talk about this. He's from Philadelphia. He raps as Anwar High Sign. Shout out to him. But like, rap is in its like pomp and circumstance era, kind of. You know, it's like it wasn't that at all at one point. You know what I'm saying? It was like, nah, show up. It was more show up as you are, you know, and show us your talent. Whereas now, like you said, the way that rap was marketed previously for its authenticity, now it's, I feel, being marketed for its ability to grab attention. And I think there are, like you said, there's new ways that people are like playing with that idea, in interesting ways, like the Schoolboy Q's and the Tyler. But then there are like cheaper ways of doing it where it's like a lot cheaper ways of doing it where it's just like, you know, I mean, look at Kanye. I mean, Kanye is probably the worst example where it's like, all right, this is a cheap way to get attention quickly to sell a thing, or threatening to kill people, or going on Instagram Live and having these very serious street issues with people, or like, I think it's getting lost in the part where it's like, I gotta take up space and I gotta grab attention. So yeah, I think that's the thing that's affecting it the most right now, is that there's a hard time in trying to like focus on the records and the songs and making sure that you feel the songs versus like, who's going to see it? How many impressions? What's going to be the engagement? And they might not even want to do that stuff. That's the thing, because I don't want to do it, and that's why I'm some lowly backpacker, because it just doesn't. Not only does it not interest me, but it's like, I'm not even that cool, but it just feels so corny. Like it just feels so corny to like come up with like spend a bunch of money on, I don't know, putting on an elephant head. Like,
the weirdest thing you can think of
as an example, but it's like, oh, you should throw on an elephant head and dress like Dumbo, and then you take off your elephant head and you rap. That'll get everybody on TikTok going. I can't bring myself, and I'm not knocking those who can do it with, they having a lot of success with that. But it's like having to like come up with these gimmicks, for lack of a better word, to just grab attention. It's kind of it's taking up more space in the creative process than the actual records,
than the creation.
So yeah, I think that's happening a lot. But I think someone who did a good job with it was Doechii. I don't know if you heard her record.
I did, and actually that was gonna be like my counterexample of like, this is one
and she did all the stuff, and none of it came off as lame. It just all felt very natural and very authentic, and it all worked. And she got a Grammy at the end of it, and she deserved it. And it was cool. But that was cool. Like, that was the best example of it, where it was like, okay. But she's also a lot younger. I'm sure she gets it on a level that I'm not going to get it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And how to communicate it in a way. So, I mean, I guess we have examples of it can be done in cool ways,
It can be done. I'm glad we talked that, because I feel like I understand better. I feel like I understand myself better.
Yeah.
Even if it's not really going to change probably my taste. But
yeah. But at least you know why, though. Like,
I know why, and that matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah, because I deal with that all the time. Well, I'm just like, but like I told you earlier, I was like, I always go through that thing where I'm like, all right, John, you being fair, or you just being old, or you just being nostalgic. Like when you said Camp Lo, like that's one of those albums that's like, there's not a lot of albums you're gonna be able to put against that one for me. Like when someone's like, this is better. No, it's not. It's Camp Lo. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It doesn't get better.
30 seconds in, I was like, I love this. I'm gonna love this forever.
You are.
And the record's like almost 30 years old.
Really great. They're gonna come back, I heard. And the little snippet I saw on Instagram was really good. So
that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited about their comeback. I mean, they've put out records in between that didn't hit, but that record's so good, you can afford to mess up.
Yeah, sometimes that's what you get.
For sure.
Well, Stik, before we let the listeners go, like we promised, tell them where they can subscribe or connect with you, so that when you release stuff, they'll be right there for you.
So I got a project coming. I can't tell you when, but I worked with DJ Sean P out here in Fort Worth, Texas. Great guy, great producer.
Yep, we love that collaboration. Yeah.
We got another one. It's going to be called A Small Fortune. It will be on the stuff that you listen to music on, at all the STIK_FIGA on all the platforms. YouTube subscriptions are welcome. Some freestyles have appeared there lately. Working on a project with August Fanon, and it's coming together. Again, I can't tell you when, but he's a really great producer. He's worked with Makami, Blue, anyone you could think, Westside Gun, all those sorts. So that's a lot of fun. And yeah, man, just cooking. This is the beginning of the year, so hopefully before first quarter ends, I'll have something out. I want to have something out for each quarter. Hopefully.
Oh wow.
Hopefully.
So big year.
It's a. I don't use the Q word anymore. I'm just trying to tell myself I'm gonna take it as it comes. That's how it takes a little bit of the pressure off of the whole thing.
I think that's wise.
And then just create from a place of, I'm inspired and I want to share. So that's where I'm at.
I love it. We'll be here for you.
And listen to I got another Maul. I don't know if you guys know Maul McCartney. He's a dope artist. He lives in Lawrence. He put out a new project called 100 Love Songs. Make sure y'all go check that out. I just wanted to throw that out there for somebody. And rest in peace. There's a artist by the name of Prince Mo. He's from Topeka, Kansas. He passed recently. He was a dope rapper, dope MC. Send a shout out and condolences to his family. Everybody cares something about him. And that's all I got.
Cool. Well, listeners, we'll let you go. We're going to keep Stik on. We're going to have another conversation that you'll hear in a couple weeks. And like and subscribe and all of that. Thanks for tuning in to not the long play listening party. I almost did it again.
Almost did it.
Thanks for tuning in to Dat Fury Radio.
Peace.